This video is sponsored by you. Links to support the channel are in the description. So, this video about the Ultimate Arknights iceberg popped into my recommended recently, fed to me like a mama bird vomiting food into the mouths of her babies, me in this analogy, by the algorithm. Video in which I'm mentioned in, by the way. And, you know, I checked the full image with the useful Imgur link provided, and I realized that, holy shit, I know every single entry here. I need to go touch grass. So I went outside, and then I asked myself, hold on, what fucking grass? So I went straight back inside and wrote up this video essay about this game that ultimately doesn't matter and that I am overly educated on. Yes, that entire intro had no connection to the video. Hello there, Arknights' most hated YouTuber here. Once again delivering lousy content about a Chinese mobile game about bears suffering or something, directly into your nightmare rectangle, to briefly distract you from the reality of the capitalist dystopian terror hellscape world you live in. Think of this video as a spiritual successor to the Arknights Changed video. That time we discussed the Guard-ification of Arknights, or how every role is being funneled into being DPS due to power creep, showcased with the medic and defender classes. There I made a distinction between direct power creep, some shit like Saga completely topping Siege, and design power creep, which instead describes a wider trend of operators moving toward a certain new design direction rather than being a direct upgrade over previous releases. Yes, you could also call this feature creep, but let me have the cool terminology. At that time, almost a year ago at the time of recording, this was certainly a noticeable trend, but I wouldn't say we hit an event horizon just yet. If you don't know what an event horizon is, it's basically just a pretentious way to say a point of no return. In present day, I say we got there. We've reached the point where it is now impossible to go back to how things were. I won't present this as a bad or a good thing, I'll simply present it. Have you noticed the trend? Everyone seems to be a new amazing boss killer, or a new crazy good lane holder these days. Look at Defenders, look at Madrock or Penance or Jessica Alter. They are not the exception, they are the new normal. They made Defenders into Guard archetypes. Look at Degen Breaker. She completely blows Irene and Guard Chen out of the water. They basically just made a playable version of her boss unit. Really wishing Viviana got that treatment too instead of being trash. What happens as a result of this is that classes lose their individual identity. Everyone just deals damage, so everyone has more or less the same interchangeable role. Yes, while they have unique gimmicks, Jessica Alter and Degen Breaker have some of the most unique gimmicks in the game, they are still just damage dealers with some bells and whistles on top. Everyone from all archetypes gets funneled into being a DPS. With some obvious exceptions, yes. Let's look at the upcoming new 6 stars at the time of recording. Typhon, damage dealer. She already came out when this video goes up, but you get my point. Jessica Alter, damage dealer with a unique gimmick. Hoderer, damage dealer. Viviana. She's just a disaster, honestly. Arturia, I refuse to call her virtuosa, deals some damage but she's quirky and also debuffs and buffs. Degen Breaker, damage dealer with a unique debuff. Ray, damage dealer. Shu, pure support. And Zwole, damage dealer lane holder. Did you notice the trend here? Except for Arturia and Shua, all of these people essentially fall into the general role of dealing a lot of damage. Don't get me wrong though, again, I can't stress this enough, all of them come from different archetypes, and yes, they work very differently from each other. But in the same way that Sutra and Chenalter also technically do different things and come from different archetypes. Yes, Sutra, Chenalter, Typhon and Ray all work very differently and technically perform different actions, but would you really say they have different roles? I'm not saying they all do the same thing, I am saying they all fulfill the same role in your squad. As I said once before, Arknights is a game about roles. When you choose an operator to be part of your squad, you choose them for what role they fulfill. And right now, an awful lot of operators fall into the damage dealer role. And unfortunately, you're only using like 3 squad slots at most usually for that role. There's not enough space for all of them. I think the biggest examples of this are Typhon and Ray. They are literally completely interchangeable. You basically just roll whoever you think is the cuter one, which is Ray, by the way. They differ from each other, but not meaningfully enough, so while in theory they are from completely different archetypes, like they couldn't be more different, in practice they're basically the same operator. This turns the game and the upcoming banners into a homogeneous blob. What also gets turned into a homogeneous blob is the archetypes themselves. Again, Ray. She's of the Hunter archetype, whose gimmick is this ammo system. Once they run out, they reload 1 bullet, and then shoot again, and then reload another singular bullet, and then shoot again, and so on. Obviously, this gimmick is absolute dog-ass, almost as bad as Skadi, so to make Ray good, she completely ignores it. Don't get me wrong, this is not really a bad thing. Like, yeah, shitas, maybe don't make a trash archetype in the first place, so you don't have to erase its identity to fix it later on. But it does showcase my point of everything becoming homogeneous. At this point we have hit the event horizon. We cannot go back. You can't just say, oh, just release operators like the olden days then. Let's bring that thought to its logical conclusion, Vigil Boy. If they release operators like they once did now, they simply have no place in this game. They're a fish out of water, like a guy that went to Epstein Island really just to fish and sunbathe. You would have no reason to roll them, because the new operators have to compete with the ones before them, and be at the very least on par with them. But this is not saying the old operators are useless now, I'm saying if they came out now, you would have no reason to roll them. Beside awooga awooga, hamina hamina, they're hot, monkey sees booba, neuron activation. Case in point, Viviana. She was dead on arrival by the simple fact she's an arts guard, and thusly has to compete with f***ing Sutra. Her kit being dog shit too was just the cherry on top. She is an example of what I just described. She feels like a year 1 operator. For all intents and purposes, she's an Astasia power creep. Like, her skill 2 is literally Astasia's skill 2, but better. If Viviana released back when La Cucaracha came out, she'd be considered amazing. But in the current ecosystem, an operator like her has no place. Why the f*** is the Astasia power creep releasing in 2024? Not only does she have to compete with someone like Sutra, the stages have progressed with the broken operators, so Viviana can't pull her own wave in modern content. This is yet another side effect. The stages themselves need to keep up and add more gimmicks and more stuff to be able to account for the fact every doctor has Jesus Christ of Nazareth, son of Joseph, in their back pocket. Do you remember when 718 was actually a threat? Do you remember when soloing 718 was like a really cool, impressive thing? Now it feels like every other new operator can do that. Do you remember when Patriot himself was like a very good way to showcase that an operator dealt a lot of damage? Now everyone melts this guy. He's become everybody's bitch. And that's all I have to say, really. Max out your Gummy. Bye. Hello, thank you for watching, and thank you to all the channel members and Patreons shown on screen right now. In particular, thank you to New Takoyaki, Noobpo, Lord Takeo, Come to Brazil, and Kromchan but JJF. That's all, cheers, and leave some bitches for the rest of us, alright?
One after the other, over and over again, I was a new pendulum. Where my left that jabbing like that through the wall. For a cow.